Who was Albert Einstein? From the Who Was series by JESS BRALLIER. And this is an updated version of a video I created years ago about this Albert Einstein who was. And so let's just see what the new guy gets into this video. Let's start with the Who Was Albert Einstein in a new version of the series. Alright. Who was Albert Einstein? Well, he was one of the most brilliant human beings who ever lived. He was a scientist whose discoveries and series led to the invention of the TV and atomic bombs. And he was a peace-loving guy with very, very, very crazy hair. And, well, he was all of them. He was also the first superstar genius. And, well, he was a German and was not liked by the Germans. Very, 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 very crazy. Even though he was a superstar genius, the Germans could have accepted him, and then, well, they could have been superstar genius fans. Also, the Nazis did not like Jewish people. Albert Einstein was a Jewish, which is probably the only reason why they hated him. And so, let's start with his life from 1879 to 1955. Let's get started. So firstly, in 1879, Albert Einstein was born on March 14th in Germany. There was pretty much nothing special about him other than that he didn't speak until he was 3 or 4 years old. Maybe 2, because he was said to have asked something to his parents when his sister was born, and he was 2 years old back then. In 1881, Albert's sister Maja, who became Albert's best friend, was born. And, well, Albert became close to Maja Einstein for over the years, and they were both able to get together with a bond. In 1889, Albert started high school at 10 years old and was eventually expelled for asking too many questions. Is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? Well, I'm guessing that other than asking about information for classified information, if you're not the classified type, then that would be probably much, well, no, none. You can't really do that. But other than those questions, and the ones that you're pretty much not allowed to ask, the other questions that Albert asked weren't banned by the law that you cannot ask these questions, but they were not allowed just because they couldn't be answered at the time. And so they thought these questions are useless because there are such things as unanswerable questions that are useless, and that's which makes them dangerous because someone can use the fake answer and then trick the world into thinking that he was a brilliant superstar genius, which Albert eventually became the superstar genius. Haha. He never actually idolized his teachers, and everyone at the high school, was basically a big little mini army. Little mini school army. Basically, all the teachers were sergeants, staff were basically just staff, students were basically like trainee, like, hop, 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 you do not listen, whack! You do not listen, whack! Basically, everyone got whacked with just teeny, tiny mistake. In 1894, Albert's family moved to Italy, leaving back Albert at school, and in 1899, Albert decided to leave. Albert decided to become a Swiss citizen, meaning he's going to be a citizen of Switzerland, and he eventually does. After being a citizen, he cannot be attacked by Germany because Switzerland is a peaceful country, which is one of the reasons why Albert went there. Then in 1900, Albert graduated from college and became a patenter. In 1902, he got a job at the patent office, and he was so good at it that he usually finished his work long before it was time to go back home. And usually he just, during his spare time, he scribbled down all of his theories and ideas, which eventually led to a theory of relativity. In 1903, Albert married Mileva Maric. That's such a tongue twister. In 1903, and in 1905, Albert introduced the theory of relativity. Basically, that speed, whatever speed you think something is going at, it depends. That speed, object's perception depends on where you're looking at. If you're inside, it doesn't seem to be moving at all. If you're like somewhere very, 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 very far away, then it doesn't even seem to be moving at all. I mean, it does seem moving, but it doesn't seem to move very fast. Well, if you're right next to it, it would zip by. It would zip past you. It would zip by you. Also, it's sort of this. It also gave this. Basically, let's say you're 4 years old in your backyard and shown a flashlight light into space. You click it off. 10 years later, at 14 years old, you're like, and remembering that you've shown a light in the sky and like, I wonder if that thing will bounce back. And right then, when you say bounce back, it just hits you right in the eyes, during the night sky. Well, that was convenient. With at least two leap years gone, so yeah. Wait a second. So let's see, 10 years each, about 365 days. 365. So about 3,652 days later, you basically get that light bounce back onto your head. After you shiny 3,652 days earlier. And, well, yeah. In 1909, Albert Einstein himself became a professor at the University of Zurich. And in 1914, Albert Leva and his son moved back to Berlin, Germany. And Albert must have to wait to prove his theory of curving light, because everyone in Russia who was ready to just take a picture of the space during an eclipse equipment was destroyed and arrested, because now Russia and Germany are in war. He must wait another 5 years for the eclipse to happen again in 1919. Just as lucky. Could have been 10 years or more, but luckily it's just 5 years. In 1919, 5 years later, Albert married Elsa and was also able to prove his general relativity theory. In 1921, Albert visited the States, and in 1922, he won a Nobel Prize and gave all his prize money away to his now divorced ex-wife, and just didn't really like money. And surprisingly, in 1931, Albert Einstein was declared a spy just because he had a butter knife in a kitchen in the butter section. A very, very ordinary place for a butter knife to be, but how can that be a weapon? I mean, it can be a weapon, but how is that if it's in a butter section in the kitchen? A very ordinary place for a butter knife to be. Tell me in the comments below, because I don't really get it. And Hitler put a death warrant on him. In 1933, Albert and Elsa moved to Princeton, New Jersey. And in 1936, Elsa was dead. And in 1940, Albert was citizen of the U.S. And in 1948, Mileva died. In 1955, Albert Einstein also died on April 18th. And what Albert showed was that in his life was that all you need are questions to just ask about the universe. It doesn't matter who you are. All you need are questions, a curious mind and questions, and you'll find out almost everything. If you have some contact with other scientific people, then you can pretty much just go to them and ask them some questions. And if they can't answer them, ask to borrow some equipment so you can actually find out for yourself. So, yeah, that's it. At least we know that Albert's life was not he didn't die in vain. But let's just hope that his brain study hasn't finished in brain, because in his last will and testament, he asked his brain to be studied. And the only other thing that was different from it from other brains is that it was denser and had much more capacity, and also had a lot more wrinkles. So that's that. What do you think about Albert Einstein? I mean, I think he's awesome and terrifying at the same time. A very, very, very big superstar genius, and also having the ability to even create an atomic bomb, like with eggs equals milk times cake squared. Wait, no, wrong equation. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Yep, that's way better than egg. Yeah, whatever. Not the egg, not the kitchen formula. But other than that, Albert Einstein himself will be remembered in history as the man who made the atomic bomb, a peace-loving guy who also led TV. Thank you, Albert Einstein, for that. I would never have lived without it. And, well, just about everything he did. Especially E equals mc squared. So I hope to see you guys in the next episode. And I'll see you then. Shannon out. Peace. Oh, bonga go. Oh, bonga bong. Bonga bong. Bonga bong. El toque el linky yummy. El toque el linky yummy.